mask on the whole time?
Oh, baby. Hope you're ready to slice and dice. What up, guys? Bobo here with BrassReel Brothers. Thanks for tuning in for some more hot, fresh popcorn and another edition of BrassReel Bobby! Man, I can't believe we're already finished with week 3. Well, this Franchise Friday, we're busting out the big guns with my favorite horror character of all time, Jason Goes to Hell. Starring John D. LeMay, Carrie Keegan, and the legendary Kane Hodder as Jason, and directed by Adam Marcus. Alright, so this was the only installment of Jason in the 90s. Now, a lot of stuff had started happening at this point. Things started splitting up to the rights of it as far as people owning the name to Friday the 13th, people owning the name to Jason Voorhees, considering the character of Jason with the hockey mask and all that stuff didn't really even come in until the sequels. So New Line actually had the rights to the Jason character. Paramount had lost the rights of it, so they made this one called Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. Didn't say Friday the 13th in the title, but it's produced by the guy who directed the original and produced a lot of the other movies, Sean S. Cunningham, and directed by this guy named Adam Marcus. No kidding, the way he got the job is he was friends with Sean S. Cunningham's son. That's how he got the job. But I actually thought he did good with it. Like I said, this is the only installment of Jason ever in the 90s. This was in 1993. They didn't touch the character until almost 10 years later, in 2002, with Jason X. Oh yeah, that's the one where he's in space. And he gives that girl the face pizza and the liquid nitrogen. Anyways, I could talk about the Jason movies all day long. I love every single one of them. Even this one. A lot of people gave this one a bad rap because it went completely off the rails, and it did. I'm not gonna take away from that. In fact, watching this movie, you have to watch it sort of in a like, you know what, I just wanna watch a fairy tale ghost story Jason movie. Because you can put this in continuity with the other films, but you don't have to have watched any of the other movies to watch this movie. This is the 3rd time Kane Hodder played Jason. He played Jason in the 2 previous films, The New Blood and Jason Takes Manhattan, and he goes on to play Jason in Jason X. He's most people's favorite Jason. He's the one who's played the role more than any other actor. He's my favorite Jason. I like all the different Jasons that have existed. It doesn't hurt that I've met the guy and talked with him for a little while and have a signed copy of Part 7. A lot of the original cast members are back with this one, including Sean S. Cunningham as a producer, not a director. But Harry Manfredini, the guy that did all the music that's so iconic with the franchise, he's back with this one, doing new music while implementing some of the old stuff. But it's all very familiar. But I will say this movie is a mixed bag. The opening scene is spot on. Immediately, Adam Marcus, who you could tell was obviously a fan of this franchise, he's nailing the tone and the feel of this movie. But you have this nice little opening that's full on Friday the 13th feeling with this girl taking a shower. There's a cabin, the lights go out, Jason's lurking around. And man, the way Jason looks is sadistic almost. I've never seen Jason look like this. Like the hockey mask is pushed and embedded into the skin of his head. And it's just really cool looking, and he's just like this brute looking big trap-necked Jason. The opening scene's feeling great. When you're watching this movie in the opening scene, you're like, yeah, awesome, Friday the 13th, I'm loving it. But Adam Marcus said he wanted to do something different, so he's teasing you in and making you feel like it's the old school Friday the 13th feeling of a film. And all of a sudden, all these FBI and SWAT pop out of nowhere, and they just blow Jason to smithereens. His head flies off, arms flies off, his heart's landing there, you see it actually stop beating, and that's when you realize that, whoa, they are going a different direction with this. We see this opening of a mixture of the credits flashing with them bringing Jason's body parts and remains to this coroner. And as they're taking the body parts away, you see Creighton Duke on the side, this bounty hunter character that they throw in there for really no reason at all, just so that he can give exposition to some characters in the movie later on. But like I said, this movie goes pretty off the rails. But as the coroner is examining the remains and doing his autopsy of Jason's body parts. He's hypnotically compelled to eat this beating heart of Jason. And that's when we kind of realize what this movie's gonna be like for sure. He eats Jason's heart and then becomes Jason? Basically, the spirit of Jason is transferred into him as he eats the heart of Jason, which is this massive black heart. And you actually even see these spirits like coming into his body. So the coroner's Jason now, and his assistant comes in and he just kills him immediately in perfect Jason fashion. And he walks by this mirror and you see Jason in the mirror. So the whole idea, I guess, is that Jason can be passed on from person to person. He's this like evil entity. But you know what? Just like Miley Cyrus and Carly Rae Jepsen, this is a guilty pleasure for me. Something about it I just love. It could be nostalgic reasons because it came out when I was in junior high, and so that was when I was really getting into horror films. You get to see a cool little cameo of Kane Hodder too, though, while the doctor's walking out after he's mutilated this guy. And Kane Hodder talks trash to the doctor who's supposed to be Jason, but Kane Hodder's actually the guy who plays Jason when we see Jason. So while Adam Marcus did something completely different with this movie, upon rewatching it this morning with this new fantastic box set, I realized that it actually feels like a Friday the 13th movie the whole way through. He actually tries to make it a Friday the 13th movie consistently through the entire film. It's just that you don't see Jason actually. You see him in the beginning and you see him in the end, and we'll get to that. But you get the whole POV shot thing. You get scenes to where they're like lurking around by these restaurants. You get scenes that are, I don't want to say plagiarized from the other previous films, but he's sort of paying homage by implementing that feeling that you had from other films to make it feel like a Friday the 13th movie, if that makes any sense. But it manages to maintain that the entire way through. And I don't know, for some reason, I adore this movie, but I'm not going to sit here and say it's awesome or anything. It's all over the place. It's off the rails, but sometimes you just love watching stuff like that. Is this the black sheep of the Friday the 13th franchise? I'd say close. I'd say Jason X is definitely the black sheep. But I still love that for its own reasons. But Adam Marcus nails it with the death scenes in this. The death scenes are off the charts. They really are. I mean, he really goes for it on the death scenes, and I can respect that because look, you're watching a horror movie and it's a Friday the 13th horror film, so you're gonna wanna see some death scenes. You wanna see a kill count, and this movie does have that. But we found out that Creighton Duke character is known as this famous bounty hunter across the land, and he shows up at the restaurant that's actually in the first Friday the 13th film and actually has the same lady working there. That's where we also get introduced to John D. LeMay's character, and he's talking to Diane Voorhees, which we didn't know there were any other Voorhees up at this point, but she's got a daughter named Jessica Voorhees that this guy had a baby with. I'm telling you, it just keeps getting off the rails. But yeah, there are other Voorhees people alive now. And Creighton Duke somehow knows about this new lore that we're finding out about Jason being a spirit and entity. Not just someone's kid who got accidentally killed by camp counselors. No, now Jason is an evil entity that transfers his spirit from person to person when it deems necessary. This evil turd worm. And we find out from Creighton Duke that if the spirit gets into a Voorhees body vessel, then Jason can fully physically manifest himself again, which is hilarious. Like hockey mask and all, clothes. But like I said, Adam Marcus manages to continually keep that Friday the 13th feel going for you. Like one of the great scenes that's not just a scene, it actually lingers on for about 10 minutes where John D. LeMay's character is driving and he picks up some hitchhikers and he takes them to an old rundown Camp Crystal Lake and you know, of course he warns them about it, just like they do in the other films. But that's where it really gets Friday the 13th. You got the camp scene, you got a little TNA action going on, you got some POV shots from the killer. Funny little story about the guy and the girl that are doing the wild thing in that. They were actually dating in real life prior to this film, broken up. Both got the acting jobs for this movie and then had to do this sex scene together. They both talked about how awkward it was. But man, they did a good job, and it has got probably the best kill in a Friday the 13th movie ever, as far as being brutal and looking really good. I can't even show it because it happens with a lot of nudity involved. And honestly, it'd be a little too graphic is the way it's shown because it looks that good. From the outside of the tent, he rams that like huge spike through it while she's on top of the guy and it goes through her body and he rips her in half. Even as a kid, I just remember being like, oh! But like I said, great kills throughout. I mean, it really does keep it up. It doesn't let up with the kills. It keeps going. Even though you only see Jason at the beginning and the end, and it goes completely off the rails, it still, like I said, somehow manages to abide by that Friday the 13th feel. After he starts picking people off, he captures this cop and brings him back to an old abandoned Voorhees house. Yep, new lore that's introduced. There's a Voorhees house that's abandoned. And he does this weird, really weird homoerotic shaving thing while he's naked before he transfers the spirit to him. Everybody's always had a question about that scene. Why was the cop naked and why was he shaving him? It's a really just packed story with weird elements in it. Like Jessica Voorhees being John D. LeMay's character's baby mama, and he's trying to warn her that they got to stop mystical Jason from transferring into her so he can fully manifest in physical form. One of the really cool things, though, that's awesome is that, in my opinion, was a way for them to try to explain or connect this whole magical Jason thing that's happening in this movie to something, is that when John D. LeMay's snooping around the old Voorhees house, which didn't exist until this movie, he finds on this table the Necronomicon, and he opens up, and it's the same pages you see in there and everything. It's a cool little homage to Evil Dead. Sort of kind of like intertwine the universes a little. That's the first of two little things like that we see in this movie. Once we see the evil Jason spirit transferring from one guy to this other guy, then the vessel it was in just starts disintegrating. Woo! Really well done, though. Then the new vessel goes and massacres an entire precinct, goes to that restaurant and wipes out all the restaurant staff, including getting an awesome face mask scene, a head pop scene, and we get the deep fryer. Yeah, you f***ed him up, Jason! Now Creighton Duke shows back up and explains to them about this ancient knife that only a Voorhees can kill Jason Voorhees with the knife.
Well, that makes me think of a little girl in a pink dress sticking a hot dog through a donut.
So stupid. Well, now the Jason demon's on the loose, and then it finds its way into dead Diana Voorhees' body, and it doesn't go through her mouth either. Ooh! And then Jason fully manifests, like I said, hockey mask, clothes, everything. Hilarious! Well, they really jumped the shark, but like I said, for some reason, I love it. Rewatching this movie again today, I enjoyed every second of it. Once we see Jason fully manifest now, there's this huge showdown with him, the guy, and Jessica Voorhees, and she does this thing where it's a slow-mo scene. She's running up from behind him, stabs him in the heart with the ancient knife. And once she does that, all the demons start coming up from the ground and grabbing and pulling Jason in. It's like, oh man, this is crazy. Again, jumping the shark. Even the guy almost gets pulled in with him, but she pulls him back out. And everything's all hunky-dory. And now they're all walking off in the distance together in the sunset. And then you get the camera shot of where Jason's head was. It's going closer and closer and closer. And then you see Freddy's hand come up and just pull the mask down. I remember seeing that as a kid. Everybody, we were like, what the f? It was awesome because everybody had always wanted a Freddy versus Jason movie or Jason versus Freddy. Nobody knew what it was going to be called then. Little did we know it was going to be 12 years later before they did that. But we did get it, and that movie is fantastic too. I'll definitely get to that one and review it at some point. Guys, that'll wrap it up for this Franchise Friday. Thank you so much for joining me again for another hot, fresh popcorn and another installment of a BrassReel Halloween. So that'll do it for this week, but we're gonna end it off with the final week, and it's gonna be some tip-top ones, I'm telling you. Started off with the Monster Monday, The Howling. Well, like I said, that'll do it, guys. Thanks again. Love you so much with all my heart. Look for BrassReel Brothers on Facebook. Look for Bobby Williams on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter, BrassReel Bobby at BrassReel. Help us to get to 200 subscribers by the end of the month by hitting that like and subscribe button right there. And remember, guys, if life gives you lemons, make some hot Jason popcorn.